In this heartwarming tale, we delve into Mrs. Rosa's life with her daughter Lucía and their grandkids. The video offers insights into how cohabiting with loved ones in one's golden years can significantly enhance happiness and life quality, potentially transforming your existence. Prepare to be amazed by these revelations. But first, listen closely to this narrative. It's key to understanding the video's central theme. Mrs. Rosa, a 70-year-old widow, decided to live with her daughter Lucía after losing her spouse. She was thrilled at the prospect of spending time with her grandchildren and contributing to the family. Who wouldn't yearn to be surrounded by the love of family in their twilight years? The dream of a family sharing life seemed to be coming true. Mrs. Rosa felt as if she had won the jackpot of life. Days at home were filled with the laughter of children, the enticing aromas wafting from the kitchen, and the satisfaction of serving the family. As she prepared breakfast for her grandchildren, she thought to herself, "This is the real life." Lucía's home became a paradise of intergenerational coexistence. Mornings began with French toast and woven stories, and in the afternoons, Rosa enjoyed tutoring the little ones with their homework, as if returning to her glorious years as a teacher. The family's honeymoon phase, everything seemed perfect. The latest research from Stanford University reveals that intergenerational cohabitation can significantly enhance the sense of happiness and purpose in life for the elderly, a phenomenon Mrs. Rosa experienced firsthand. She felt as if she had rediscovered the fountain of youth. However, as the saying goes, too good to be true often isn't, and this story took an unexpected turn. One afternoon, as Rosa was preparing dinner, she overheard Lucía on a call. "Mom is our lucky star. What would we do without her?" Rosa felt a surge of pride, but also an indescribable worry. The philosopher Epicurus once said, "We do not lack time, we waste it." Rosa began to ponder where the quiet moments of reading a good book or simply gazing out the window had gone. Day by day, Rosa's life turned into a routine: breakfast, homework, lunch, more homework, dinner. She started to miss her old apartment and the days when she could freely arrange her time, but then she scolded herself, "How can I be so ungrateful? I have everything I've always dreamed of." The silent transformation from grandmother to unpaid nanny. Research from the University of Michigan shows that older adults who maintain independence report higher life satisfaction, and Rosa gradually realized the value of this independence. Although she sometimes felt guilty, she gradually understood that taking care of oneself is not selfish but a prerequisite for better caring for others. As time went by, Rosa's life underwent a surprising change. Her energy increased, chronic pain decreased, and her memory improved. Most importantly, her relationships with her family became more meaningful. By reclaiming her own living space, she not only became an independent individual but also taught the younger generation how to maintain dignity and happiness in their later years. The price of love turning into a burden. Mrs. Rosa's story took an unexpected turn. Initially, she expected the dream of family reunion, but it gradually turned into a silent nightmare. Have you ever thought that a decision full of love might lead us down a path we never anticipated? Lucía, Rosa's daughter, began to show her true colors. One day, as Rosa was preparing lunch, Lucía walked into the kitchen, frowning, and said, "Mom, how many times have I told you, the kids don't like onions, why do you insist on adding them?" This criticism was like a bucket of cold water on Rosa. Such incidents were not isolated, suggestions gradually turned into commands. and opinions evolved into blame. Rosa felt her space shrinking and her voice becoming fainter. Psychologist Erik Erikson warned about the importance of maintaining autonomy for the elderly. Losing independence can lead to an identity crisis and a sense of helplessness. Ironically, it was in seeking the support of loved ones that Rosa lost her most precious essence. A wise friend's advice, an unexpected revelation. One day, Rosa's lifelong friend Carmela decided to surprise her with a visit. Seeing Rosa's dark circles and tired expression, Carmela couldn't help but be shocked. She asked, "Rosa, is everything all right? You don't look quite right." It was at this moment that Rosa broke down and confided in her all her exhaustion, frustration, and the feeling of being trapped in a life that wasn't her own. After listening attentively, Carmela smiled at Rosa and said, "Dear, what if I told you I've been through the same thing? I found a life-changing solution." Carmela shared her story of how regaining independence transformed her life. She moved back to her own apartment, regained her freedom, and improved her relationships with her family. Rosa was deeply touched by her friend's story, as if a light suddenly turned on in a dark room, illuminating a path she had never seen before. Rediscovering the value of independence. Carmela's words made Rosa ponder. She began to realize that true happiness comes from the return of personal space. So, Rosa started taking small actions, like going for a walk in the park alone. Although she felt guilty at first, she soon discovered that this 1 hour of solitude each day was like an oasis in the desert. Then, she signed up for a senior painting class, rekindling her passion for art. She even made new friends and rediscovered the various possibilities of life. The difficult conversation, breaking the cycle of dependency. After much contemplation, Rosa finally mustered the courage to have an important conversation with her daughter Lucía. She told her daughter, "I think it's time for me to move to a place of my own." Lucía was initially shocked, then gradually understood and accepted her mother's decision. This conversation was not easy, but it strengthened the mother-daughter relationship. By setting boundaries, Rosa not only regained her freedom but also improved the quality of her interactions with her family. Rebirth, a new chapter in Mrs. Rosa's life. Rosa moved into her new apartment, feeling both excited and nervous. Although she sometimes doubted her decision, she gradually found that maintaining independence brought unprecedented happiness. She began to participate in community center activities, made new friends, and even took up yoga classes. Her life was rejuvenated, and her health improved significantly. Most importantly, the distance between Rosa and her family made their relationship even closer. Every visit was filled with joy and precious moments. The paradox of love, how distance strengthens bonds. When Rosa decided to move out of her daughter's home, many thought she made the wrong decision, but it turned out that physical distance actually strengthened her emotional ties with her family. Interactions with her family became more meaningful. She was no longer the exhausted grandmother but a vibrant woman with rich life stories to share. Rosa's experience shows that love does not mean being together all the time. On the contrary, maintaining a certain distance and independence is the key to maintaining healthy family relationships. The wisdom of balance, finding the golden mean. Mrs. Rosa discovered that there is a balance between maintaining close relationships with family and regaining independence. She no longer believed that life was either completely dependent on family or completely isolated. Instead, she learned to find a healthy middle ground between the two. American psychologist Stephen Covey proposed the concept of healthy interdependence, which is the combination of independence and dependence. For Rosa, this meant setting clear but flexible boundaries. She agreed to take care of her grandchildren 2 afternoons a week but kept the rest of the time for herself. This new lifestyle greatly improved the quality of her interactions with her family. Mrs. Rosa's legacy: lessons in self-love and family. When Mrs. Rosa decided to regain her independence, she was not only thinking of herself but also sowing seeds of wisdom for the entire family. Her daughter Lucía initially found it hard to accept, but eventually understood and embraced her mother's choice. Rosa's grandchildren also learned from her the importance of independence and growth. Rosa's story inspires us to reflect on our own family dynamics. Are we respecting our loved ones' personal space, or are we inadvertently binding them with our expectations? Philosopher Khalil Gibran once said, "Your children are not your children, they are the sons and daughters of life's longing." Rosa understood that this also applies to parents. We are not the property of our children but independent individuals entitled to our own lives. Dear viewers, I invite you to ask yourselves, are you living your own life or the life others expect of you? Remember, it's never too late to make a change. If you've always dreamed of going on a motorcycle trip, then go for it. Don't forget to invite me, haha. Life is too short to live in fear. Occasionally do things that scare you, for that is how you grow and learn. As the great Goethe said, whatever you want to do or dream of doing, begin it. Boldness has genius,